Pastor George. I just wanted to welcome you on this topic. Remember when I was giving out the first part of this topic concerning the steps of saving a sinking marriage, and in the first section I talked about a union that God made between a man and a woman. I also emphasized on things you can do and things you cannot do in a marriage. Today, in my session, I want to talk about the purpose of marriage and how people end up losing their marriages. A purpose, and I want you to listen to this attentively. Those people that have been joined together, as we read in the book of Genesis, they had companionship with God, and which means they were given responsibility and a purpose to live in peace. And that's why sometimes you find today a wife and a husband are not in a position of living together in peace because they fail to understand the purpose of marriage. So purpose of a man is to understand the heart of a woman, and this brings into consideration the happiness of a woman. Into this, same with a woman, you must understand how to give you the happiness to your husband, because it is the main reason why we have this marriage. Happiness builds up a marriage, and thus sometimes we find it hard for us to move on and understand the benefit that we can make in our marriages. And when we live at peace with each other, with our partners, we simply resemble God, because the image that was given unto us, it is an image of God. So it is an image of happiness. So when you demonstrate this spirit in your marriage, you are having a point of living into a longevity of life with your wife and also with your husband in a marriage. A man must also make his wife perfect. And this makes me understand that a man must live in peace. So the peace that you want to get in your marriage comes when you make your wife what you want her to become. You know, sometimes we complain about our wives and sometimes we complain about our husbands, and we don't want to make them who we want. So it is our responsibility that if you want to save your marriage, make sure that you make each other what you want. Because if you will not make them what you want, you will fail to understand the contents and also the reason of being in this marriage. Another thing, our work. There are also other things that affect the stability, affect that process of being in the family. That is a work system. Sometimes you come at work with the stress that maybe your boss stressed you up. So at that moment you bring it into the house. I'm telling you that you are in a point of destroying your own house because of the stress that you come with in your place of work. I think whatever that happens in your place of work should remain there. Because when you come back to your house, you are now a wife and at the same time you are a husband. So you must develop a wise mind and an attitude and the character. As I told you in the first section about character, character can mold your inner being. So it means character can change your outer physical being, at the same time your inner complexion concerning a marriage. And that's why when you stress up, maybe your boss stressed you up, you need to cool down and reason out appropriately. I also want to talk about the ecosystem of growth in a marriage. This means that accept mistakes and be ready to correct it. There are some of us, we as men, we don't want to give a space. We don't want to be corrected. We don't want to accept corrections. So when we make a mistake, we just be a giant in the house. Remember, being a giant in your family or being a giant in your house will not solve the problem, and at the same time will not make your wife to accept what you're saying. But a soberly minded person can sit down and make a good decisions. And when something arises, you need to be accepted. Your wife wife, you need to correct your husband, and also the same husband, you need to correct your wife so that you can build a very good family. You are also, as we read in the 2 Corinthians 2 verse 5, and the Bible says, be that you are one according to the account of creation. We talked about that in the first section, and we read several Bibles concerning the marriage, and we understood very well that in the first account, God created us with our own image and placed a man in the garden to cultivate it. So this cultivation brings production, and that is now, it says in verse 2, 5, 2 Corinthians 2, 5, it says, if anyone has made somebody sad, he has not done it to me. And this now the Bible is talking about. It has not done it to me, but it done to all of you. So remember, you are one flesh. Whatever you are capable of doing to your wife, or you are capable of doing to your husband, remember that you are doing it for yourself. Because the outcome will not just come for the person you are expecting, but it will come back and reverse back to you. Because whatever you are doing in this marriage, whether negative or positive, it will only affect your life, not affect the person that you are doing all this for. Remember, you are one flesh, and I want to repeat this, and this is the main point whereby people fail to understand the person that they are living with. I want you to know as from today, that the day you confess that I want to live with you as my wife, and I want to live with you as my husband, you made a very big covenant. So it means that it is a union between two people that be joined together. And a man must diligently, I'm talking about diligently preserve the background of a woman, because there are some seeds which cannot make your marriage to work. There are some seeds in our background, where we're coming from, in our family, that sometimes affect our marriages, and we fail also to understand that. Remember, in the book of Genesis, the Bible talks about serpent. Serpent was a cunning creature, and serpent went to a woman and said, did God told you not to eat from any fruit in the garden? And the woman replied. So it means that they had a trick to trigger down every perspective and every areas that a woman can stand. So that's why I'm urging all women, and also as a wife, you are in the house, you must understand the tricks and the temptations that sometimes come on our way that affect our marriages. And today, as I continue, some women fail to give the happiness in a marriage. Happiness, as I said, is the major factor that can make your family or make your marriage to work out. Partners must be appreciative. Anytime, whatever you are doing in that marriage, you must appreciate each other. Appreciative spirit to each other make that impact. It brings out the impact in a marriage. You can be able to defend your husband, and your husband are also ready to defend you, because you are appreciative. A family without appreciating spirit, you are going nowhere, because you will fail to understand the trust and also be faithful to each other. As I finish this section, and in the book of Job 6:24 says, all right, teach me, tell me my fault, I will be quiet and listen to you. Verse 25 says, honest words are convincing. He says that I'm ready to sit down and I'm ready to solve the problem. Some of us, we are not ready to sit down and to be taught, to sit down and to listen to each other. Listening is more than a sacrifice in a marriage. When you listen to each other, you will understand the consequences, and you will understand the causes of a problem in a marriage, and you will also be able to solve them in an amicable way. At the same time, he says that honest words are convincing. When you are honest, you have a convincing spirit. The convincing spirit lower down the temper of each and everyone of us in a marriage. And that's why when you are honest to your husband will also be honest to you. And today, I want to appreciate you for listening to this.